Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of The Buzz. I'm your host, Todd Jaden. My co-host, Tammy Gruner.
Hi, everyone.
And very special guest, Kevin LaCombe. Kevin, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so some of you may recognize Kevin from our Facebook chats because he's been with us in that venue. First timer as it relates to The Buzz. So we better get to it because we only get 4 minutes here or we get in trouble, all right? So we're here today to talk about all things kind of customer service. That's the area that, that Kevin leads. And we want to talk to you about some success we've seen in the metrics, and these metrics are based on feedback we receive from drivers. So why don't you talk about 3 key metrics that you guys look at and we've seen some good progress in?
Sure. Thank you again for having me. A few of the things that, based on the feedback we get from all of you drivers, is really around the accuracy of orders, and that's whether it's by the characteristic of how we create it, to having the reference numbers you need to pick up and deliver your orders, and then also just searching for trailers. You know, the idea of making sure we send you, you get what you need. And over the last several months, we just had a lot of success to improve some of those metrics, and that's working with our sellers, our customers, individual CSRs that are just taking more accountability for that work. So 3 things that 3 areas that we've improved quite a bit. From a order accuracy, we've knocked off about 250 inaccurate orders every day.
Nice.
From a missing reference, it's been over 100 loads every day that we are giving you the information you need. And then on the trailer front, it is we're having you search for 50 to 60 less trailers every single day. So continue to make those progresses.
And we've created a report card that actually gives the CSR feedback on some of those key metrics, correct?
Yes, one of the number 1 metrics we have for CSRs today is order accuracy. So we take a look at all the orders that they do create, and whichever ones have some sort of error related to it for whatever that reason is, we measure that accountability. We take that feedback and then we work with whoever the customer or the individual to make sure we continue to improve on those things.
They don't enter everything in, though. Where does that information come from?
Today in the electronic world, most things come directly from the customer. Okay. So to some extent, we are a little bit tied to what information we get to the customer and when we get it from the customer.
Okay.
So at times, the information may come in, but as a driver, you may have already received that dispatch, so you don't see it initially. At a later point, we get that information and we try to feed it to you as fast as we can.
Sure.
And so what we're asking our drivers to do is if you do get a load that isn't as accurate as we would like it to be, as you would like it to be, to use Rate My Location, the app, to get us feedback, because we take that feedback and we get it back into the sales organization and to the customer to get things fixed, correct?
Absolutely. So Rate My Location gives us the best view at those frustrations that the driver's seeing. You know, and another area that I just thought of as well is those who use the Compass app for reference numbers. We're able to use that data as well to identify either the associate or the customer that we have the most impacts with. So between those two different technologies, we're able to get more information.
Good.
Nice.
Good.
We've made improvements on detention and the length of stop duration. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the improvements that were made?
Sure. In 2018, we just took tougher stances with a lot of those customers that historically ask our drivers to stay at those locations for longer period of times, those long unloads. Through decisions we made around acceptance and just with our sales force to have those conversations with the customer, primarily on your unloading side of it, we've been able to impact the driver where they're able to get out of that dock 30 minutes faster than what they did in previous years. So keeping those drivers on the road.
Okay.
That's what we want.
Good. So we have to wrap this thing up because it's amazing how fast 4 minutes goes. And so what I want to say is we really appreciate the work you're doing with your team on behalf of the drivers, because clearly these are things that have positive impacts on the group out there. So certainly what I'd ask you to do is, as you run into things that you see an opportunity for us to get better at, use that Rate My Location, provide feedback to us, and we'll keep getting better. Kevin,
Absolutely.
Thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
Kevin.
That's it for this week's edition of The Buzz. You take care. Drive safe.